Hey everyone, I'm Rave Bay Melissa.
And I'm Fluffy.
And this is Dead Sober Podcast.
And I'm not even high.
And I'm Do you want to see my prop that I have today?
Yes.
I should dance with this. Oh. This is what I bought. It is a fat cat.
It almost looks like like a Shiba Inu cat.
And it's squishy like a dumpling.
Uh-huh.
I got 2 of them. I tried to get more dumplings, but
they had cats.
Well, let me show you what I got. I got it, and I was like, I can't use this. So it's Five Below. So I thought it was going to be multiple dumplings in this.
Yeah.
Like 6 little dumplings. It is not 6 little dumplings.
6 would be...
It is a giant dumpling. It's yellow. It's not like a fun color.
It's not dumpling color.
It's so heavy.
Is it a fire? It's a breast implant.
It basically is. Look at it.
That is a low pro.
It's so big. I need to go back to Five Below. So far, my collections of random treats.
We just have one podcast where we don't talk about Bonnaroo and Labubu. A Bonnabooboo podcast.
A Bonnabooboo podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Bonnabooboo podcast. How did I come across this? MCO, the EDC Orlando lineup dropped. Yay, very exciting. On there was Svdden Death. He was on there as Voyd. Okay, so that's what I was like, oh, he's only going as Voyd, or it didn't say like slash or whatever. So I'm like, okay, well, what's the difference? Because I don't know what the difference
I don't know the difference either. That's why I didn't look it up either. I saw this and I was like, ooh, I hope she looks, because I don't know what this is.
I feel like I've seen him listed both, or he'll play one set as one set as the other. So this time I was like, okay, that's weird. They're like only inviting Voyd to to EDC Orlando. So I'm like, what's the difference? So then I end up on Reddit, and it's a post from 2 years ago. But this guy is like, hey, I don't think there's a difference between these two personas anymore. And he was like, Svdden Death is more tearout, hype music, and remixes, like heavy drops, mosh pit music. And everyone was like, that was the consensus. And then Voyd were like minimal but heavy, and everybody calls it creepy. They're like,
it is.
Voyd is just creepy, not the because of the deer mask, but the music. And then the visuals are really specific. He had defined it as that he did a lot of bootlegging older dubstep songs. What does that mean? Do you know what that means?
So I was actually going to ask about this to see if you know. So Svdden Death came out, he dropped an album called Voyd 2.5. He has many albums that are called Voyd 2, Voyd 1, Voyd 1.5. So I don't know if he doesn't have an alter ego on Spotify, and these are Voyd drops, but in the most recent drop, they're mostly like remixes of other people's songs.
Yeah.
Or like bootleg means that like he copied somebody else's version and then put it on his album, but it's like, so I'm just going to give you an example because it's going to be hard for me to describe this.
Because the remix is like you take it, you mix it up, but I didn't understand why he was talking about bootlegging meant, and that was like the majority of his music.
He's not remixing. He's taking, for example, like Magic Armor is a Tape B remix that's on his Voyd album. Then he has another song called Dream Sequence, which is that's a DJ Company's remix of the song Dream Sequence, but it's on Voyd's album. Because Dream Sequence is I'm going to try to, okay, we've got Svdden Death, Voyd. Think of them as 2 different people because it'll be easier.
Yeah, they definitely are.
And then Mysterious Third DJ.
Okay.
So Svdden Death comes out with Magic Armor, Tape B remixes, and then Voyd puts it on his album.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, bootlegs, steals it. It's not really because it's all consensual,
but his own stuff, kind of.
So he puts all of the remixes from Svdden Death onto his album, onto Voyd's album.
Oh.
I think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, based on how it's all named, Demonic Curse is a Level Up remix on the Voyd album.
Okay. Wow.
So that makes sense based on what you found on Reddit. Like, it's the same.
Yeah, so that's, and again, this like post is 2 years old, but he had like specifically said like most of what I was doing with Voyd is the bootlegging thing. And that's because this guy was kind of going on about like they're basically similar now. I went and he tried to say like he went to a set and basically like Svdden Death just kept playing Voyd music and back and forth, but it kind of sounds like maybe he didn't totally understand all the difference between a remix, a bootleg, and then his own song, because the guy was also like, it was all remixes of other people's songs, but he probably didn't know that
That's
it was
Voyd.
actually his song in the first place. Okay, but what was really cool though is that Svdden Death actually found it. He's like, hey, I was just scrolling and I saw this. And he's like, I take it as constructive criticism. Like, it was such a nice conversation back and forth. It was like faith in humanity restored. And he was like, I want to do, new stuff. I want to, be able to have enough to do both. But he's like, I'm on tour. And creating new music for two personalities while touring, like, it's just too much. And like most,
and he's on
artists
like every
don't do
festival on top of it.
Yeah, there's just no way. So really wanted to keep Voyd more experimental, which makes sense. And he was like, I would want to have 50 to 90% new songs every show. I'm like, sir.
That's a lot.
Sir.
That's a lot.
You don't have to. I'm not asking for that. And he, definitely said the one Voyd is an extension of the other. Like, that's the point. But he's like, I don't think I played more than one or two songs that weren't mine. And then he said, very interesting, but he was so nice. Like, I love this part. He says, I appreciate y'all and he used y'all like adorbs. Okay, I appreciate y'all paying attention enough to notice or call out similarities because I probably wouldn't have recognized. Like, he genuinely was like, we're working together on this project. Like, I don't know, I thought that was really cool. And
That's
now we know the
cute.
difference, kind of, sort of. They're the same.
They're the same, but different.
So, going to see Voyd, I'm not going to, like, know any different. Unless it's just straight up creepy the whole time.
I don't know how to describe creepy, because it's not creepy in the way that you're thinking.
Like alien noises?
No, that's not creepy.
Okay.
That's like Subtronics. Subtronics is like alien noises. Creepy is like, imagine like a scary movie soundtrack and like the types of sounds that are playing, where it's like spooky.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
So literally creepy.
So it's giving like witchy vibe, sort of. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Thinking like heavy synthesizer. They're like, wee, wee.
I mean, that's,
Like a
that
ghost
didn't,
is in the room.
kind of. I'll have to find some songs for you to listen to that are, so that you know what it.
On this week's playlist, I cannot believe we're on 12.
There are 44 songs on this week's playlist, I think. 40, I'm sorry, there are 48 songs on this week's playlist because, again, people dropped albums. Like, Voyd dropped an album, Ravenscoon dropped an album, Effin dropped an album, Armin van Buuren dropped a lot of songs in an album, More Kismet dropped an album, VRG dropped an album. Like, so many drops. They're all pretty, I mean, this week is like, if you put it on shuffle, it's going to feel like whiplash going back and forth because some of them are like a little weird. But Armin van Buuren's, I usually like his songs aren't like wow to me. This album, it's pretty damn good. I think you might like it. It's a lot of melodic bass, actually.
Hey, I'm like excited for this week's playlist. Even though this is not going to be a Bonnaroo Boo Boo podcast this week, we are still going to circle back on the Mirage. This is and will always be first Mirage podcast. Technical difficulties, 1. Priority 1. Mirage number 2. Then Bonnaroo Boo Boo.
I'm going to go over the layout of the Brooklyn Mirage first because
We're also an architecture podcast.
Yes, we are.
At
And
this
permits.
point.
I've read a lot of permits. But I didn't realize the layout of this venue, and I was a little confused by it. So the Brooklyn Mirage has 3 venues in one. Only the outside venue is closed. There's an indoor like warehouse venue that's been open since May or end of April. And then there's a very small indoor stage as well that like doesn't really get used a lot. I didn't know this. Like everyone kept talking about like the Great Hall. It's just their indoor warehouse version, and they've had people since May 3rd. So they've had like Austin Mills there, Keizo, Odd Mob, Charlotte DeWitt was there. Galantis was there. So they have all these shows. They're still canceling everything that's supposed to be in the outdoor venue. But I didn't realize that the Great Hall was an indoor venue, because I hear when people say like the Brooklyn Mirage is closed, I think the whole thing is shut down, but it's not. It's just one stage. It's their bigger stage. Like the warehouse can't fit. It can only fit up to 3,000 people, I think. So it is smaller. And it's been open. It's met all the requirements, and it has a temporary permit license, whatever it is. That's completely fine. It passed all the safety requirements. There are no complaints about this place online. Literally not a single complaint. People think that the flow is really nice. It has access to multiple bathrooms because it's inside. People don't have problems with this one. So it's confusing. How
do they fumble it so bad on the others when they have their own good example? That is special.
Yeah, it's really special. They have a lot of confirmed shows in the Great Hall all the way through December. Some of the outdoor shows have moved in, but most of them are not still. They haven't canceled through July, at least I don't think, as of today, which says nothing.
That's brave.
But your other weekly updates, what else do I have about this? The main issue that I've found is that when it comes to the Brooklyn Mirage, I don't think we talked about this. Did we talk about security?
Not security, just that as far as like crime surrounding the area, there's a lot of crimes connected with someone's last place being there.
This is also very similar to, there's another venue that have very similar reports. Security has had a lot of SA issues. Like, this is a quote: "They will go through the brim of your hats, the folds of your wallet, check your shoes, pat your socks down, extort you for cash if they find something." That's because concert venues, TSA security isn't even this bad sometimes. They're extremely thorough, like full bag, removal of clothing, invasive pat downs. There's a lot of inconsistency, which is true of every security line on Earth. But they'll also confiscate, it's kind of like EDC, like they'll confiscate gum, hand sanitizer, prescription medication, and then dispose of it. That's the biggest complaint that I've seen online. The other one is just people's misunderstanding of how EMTs work. And so the venue has EMTs on site, but EMTs are only meant to be transportational. They don't provide on-site medical care. They will stabilize you to get you to a hospital. So people are like, oh, they're always trying to rush people off-site.
That's their job.
And like trying to avoid, deaths on-site. And I'm like, that's not how this works. They can't, even if someone died on-site, they wouldn't be able to call it. They need a doctor in a hospital to call it. EMTs are not allowed to call that. So I
think it's 11 months of training.
Well, because like I said, like they're not there they have a very specific skill set, and their skill set is not to do surgeries. They're only there to stabilize the patient, whatever that takes.
Literally they're meant to be the first responder.
Yeah. So they are on site, which is great. But those are only two bad things I heard about the Brooklyn Mirage. The only other thing that's happened on June 24th, the hedge fund founder, Andrew Axelrod, stepped in as co-manager, which brought financial backing and operational oversight alongside his role as a secured creditor for Avant-Garde. Meanwhile, former CEO Josh Wyatt was fired. In May, Gary Richard, the board chair, is now the interim leader, handling the reopening push.
Big Daddy stepped in.
Yeah. So that is your Brooklyn Mirage. I didn't know that there were 3 rooms. Security's tough. The Great Hall is great. And there are mediocre white men taking control now.
Yay. Well, on a positive note, I came across this video of a proposal. And I'm always going to watch a proposal video. A artist at Electric Forest, their name is Wreckno, called boyfriend on stage and then proposed. And it was so freaking cute. And I love the reaction. After they hug, jumped up and put his arm or his legs around him. It was so cute.
That's so cute.
That was the cutest thing I've ever seen. So then I'm like, okay, well now I have to know who these people are. So I ended up looking up okay, what is it? I know she's gonna ask me that I'm not gonna be able to answer what kind of music or what genre. And I'm like, I'm not gonna know. So I had to look it up. So they do mostly bass and hip hop. But what's cool is that they're also a rapper. So being the singer on your tracks, they're also a rapper, and they produce for other people. And then part of the project is their older brother, and he's been part of it since the beginning, and he's his name is spelled 7 UDO, so like the 7's like an upside down L, so it's Ludo, I'm pretty sure. And I just thought that was super cute. Oh, and then
I don't know what's next.
Sorry, with the visuals, I just remembered like they had this like ready to go, and it said he said yes, and then it just like makes me think of like, what if he said no? Did you have that ready too, or were we like super confident?
Probably just was going to blow right by it and play like sad boy songs.
Yeah, just immediately cry watchy. Or the hello darkness.
Hello darkness, my old friend. My Cry-Watchy jersey came today.
Yay, his new one.
It's so cute. It stopped almost immediately after I posted and called people out for it. So DJs were posting a picture. It's an image of... It kind of looks like, did you ever see like World War Z, how there's like a pile of hands, right? So it's like a pile of hands, and then this hand is doing like 2.5, except this finger is like ripped off, so it's like amputated. Okay. So it's like 2.5.
Amputated like a zombie.
Yeah, yes, bitten off, if you will, whatever. Ooh. So there's a lot of DJs that were just posting that. And so some people were like, oh, is it a music drop? But then a lot of different DJs were posting. So then Grok, who's like our universal person of truth on Twitter, responded and said this is likely a promotion for Insomniac's Zombieland 2025. And then I replied and I said, you can't do this because you have to do a hashtag ad. That was the whole point of Fire Festival. Yes. You can't post like an orange square as an influencer without any context. And then we all find out it's for a festival by Insomniac. And you didn't put hashtag ad.
While they're going through this like little turmoil too.
So I responded to Level Up's, I feel really bad. You can't do that.
Well, that's
did we not learn from Fire Festival? That was the main issue. That was the main like policy that came out afterwards, is that you could be sued if people buy those tickets because of what you posted.
They're like the crypto scams. Like, why are celebrities still falling for crypto scams? Like putting their name on something and then be like, I don't know, financial ignorance. You can't promote financial products. There's like rules.
No, I really was like, okay, maybe I'm wrong, but then all of a sudden they just stopped, and I was like, well,
now we can't have. This is why I can't have nice things, Rave Bay.
I know, but people were like getting all excited, and I'm like, you can't do this. Like, I know you can't do this. Fire Festival. Did no one watch the documentary on Netflix?
And on Hulu. There were two.
Yes. And on Hulu.
I watched
the updated one. I also watched both. And I watched it a second time in the Jamaica airport while I was waiting.
So specific. And where were you when you watched the Fire Fest documentary?
Because Fire Fest 2 was going to be in Mexico. Right. Or I wasn't in Jamaica. I was in the Mexico airport because Fire Fest 2 was going to be on the island across from where I was. And so I was like, I'm going to watch it since I have like a couple of hours to do nothing in this airport and I don't speak Spanish fluently. So I sat there and watched the entire festival documentary.
That is amazing.
Yep. So that's why I was like, I know you can't do this. I know that you cannot be posting. I don't get it.
Yeah, this is the guerrilla marketing. And now we know nothing. So how do people know about this festival? And then they're doing sneaky promo, but obviously it's already out there. And then does that mean all those artists are invited? Like, what if they're not there and they posted it?
This better be an album. I thought it was going to be Voyd, actually, because it was 2.5.
Yeah, and that's apparently...
And it was...
Almost seems like, okay, so there's a movie coming out, or I think it just came out.
Unless it was that, because Company is on the album. Level 2 is on the album. Maybe Grok was wrong.
Maybe they took it.
Maybe it was Voyd.
What if
2.5?
They took it down because they're like, well, clearly this didn't work. Everybody, like, we were trying to promote something else, so they're like not taking it down because it's wrong. They're taking it down because we didn't get it.
Well, so then I went back in the comments today just to like go look and see, and it's like, Zombieland, are you dropping a new album? No one is talking Voyd 2.5, and I'm like, is it Voyd 2.5? And like Grok's wrong because he's not in this scene. Well, because it's the third year for Zombieland, not the second.
So that wouldn't make any sense.
So it doesn't really make sense.
Oh no.
I don't know. But then everyone stopped doing it after, because his album came out. So I don't know if they stopped because of the ad issue, if they stopped because there was no follow-up. Like, it wasn't like sudden death. I don't think, at least. I haven't looked on his Twitter lately, but he didn't post the photo himself, I don't think.
But wouldn't that need to be the album cover then? Like, it would only really make sense.
Is it the album cover?
I don't think so. It looks like an eyeball. Okay, so I thought it was promo for the movie 28 Years Later that just came out last week.
That was another thing that people thought it was.
At least it wasn't just me.
There's options are literally all over the place.
Funny though that it like turned into this whole thing.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Would you like to fill us in on Fred again and the pop-up in New York? Because I am so out of the loop. 0%. I don't think I even saw anything.
Everyone really likes and really loves Fred again.
Yeah.
At first, a lot of the videos were of people who actually got into the pop-up event, and it looked great, but there were a lot of issues that like quickly got pushed under the rug, which shouldn't surprise anybody because you'll never guess who's in charge of this. It's Ticketmaster, a.k.a. Live Nation, yet again.
A.k.a. Insomniac. Interesting.
And a.k.a. Insomniac. So Fred was streaming on Twitch on Tuesday at 4 p.m., and he was DJing, and he had this, like, whiteboard behind him, and he was writing random stuff on it that didn't make sense. And everyone was, like, commenting and trying to figure out, like, where he is and whatever. They eventually figure out that he's going to have a pop-up at the Brooklyn Paramount. And so they all start to go, right? Because now the internet has figured out that, like, the hints that he's dropping and whatever, it's at the Brooklyn Paramount. So it's in New York City, so they all start lining up. And they're still lining up, and he's still playing in this room. He's not talking to the audience. He's not engaging in the audience. He said that once we get there, once he gets there, he'll drop a ticket link, and people can come inside.
Fun.
Okay? So people figured out it was at the Paramount. They're lining up. They're like, well, let me just check Ticketmaster. It's available. It's live. The link is live. So people go to do the link, and they get 404'd. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the link disappears. People are still lining up. Fred, again, is still on the live. Still hasn't moved. Oh. Now we're approaching, like, 100,000 people are outside the Brooklyn Paramount.
And because allegedly that's where it's going to be based on the clues.
And then, so in terms of, like, timing, so he starts this thing on Tuesday at 4 on Twitch. At 5, the Ticketmaster link has dropped, but then at 4:04 is out of nowhere. Then by 7, that's when he finally makes his way to the Brooklyn Paramount and says, okay, here's the link. But it goes to a website that then crashes.
Yeah.
Of the people that could get in, it goes to the website that crashes. There's a link on the website, and oh, lo and behold, it sends you back to the Ticketmaster queue, which isn't working.
It's a loop, which never works.
And then, because he dropped the registration link, it's a co-branded link that goes to the webpage that sends you back to Ticketmaster that crashes, whatever. At 9 o'clock is when the event sells out immediately, because there are 100,000 people waiting in the queue, and they've been in the queue for 3 hours at this point. So now he's at the Brooklyn Paramount. He is DJing and playing his new song. Inside, there was only room, which no one said, for 2,500 people. There are 100,000 people standing outside. And the 2,500 that got a ticket seemed to be mostly influencers.
Oh no, it was a fake drop?
So now...
Because wait, are they already inside?
They're inside.
25,000 people are inside.
2,500, not 1,000.
Yeah, wait, that
2,500
that still
people.
wouldn't be enough.
No.
So there's 2,500 people already inside because they got...
I don't know if they're already inside, but they got inside
somebody
somehow.
is inside somehow. And the link goes live, but it doesn't matter. Everybody's been standing outside for 3 hours.
And then he plays. And so then I was like, okay, so what happened next? Because all I keep thinking about is ADA, right? 100,000 people are waiting outside this venue. how are they all going to disperse? No one thought of that, obviously.
Yeah, the people that can't get in because it's sold out.
Right. How are you going to get through that? Where are you going to go? So it took hours. Some people literally just stayed there until the event was over, thinking that like maybe I'll be able to get in, maybe they'll let me in. They didn't get let in. They never got let in. Nope, never got let in. And everyone just kind of like sprinkled and dispersed after that. Then all these videos started popping up like, oh, this is inside the venue. Oh, Fred again was amazing. Fred again was amazing. Fred again was amazing. And then you'll get like a 1 or 2 token people that are like, yeah, I was standing outside. That was it. And I'm like, we're just going to brush that on. Why is no one pissed about this? I'm pissed about it, and I wasn't even there.
I wasn't there.
So John Summit throws shade at the Fred Again New York City pop-up in this tweet. That was one of the pictures. Someone tweeted at him and said, when are you coming back to New York City? And he replied, big things coming. We plan things out. No pop-up bullshit. John Summit is now back on his trolling game, and I am here for every minute of it.
Sober trolling now, too. He has the time.
He has so much time on his hands, and he is rolling everybody under the bus. So I don't know. Like, Fred Again has a really, 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 really strong following.
Because they have a chance to be super exclusive concert. I mean, that's why stuff like that blows up. But throw a pop-up. I mean, it sounds like a private party, though. Like, if you're going to do a pop-up event for under 3,000 people, when you're that big, that just seems like a private event.
Why wouldn't you lead with that there's only 2,500 tickets? So that 100,000 people, and just say that, like, you can stand outside all you want. You're not getting in unless you get a ticket. Why don't you give directions? I just, like, don't understand. It's not that difficult to help people understand what your goal is. Like, people can't read minds. They don't know what you're doing. You need to actually tell them what's happening. But you're trying to be, like, mysterious with this weird whiteboard that you're writing weird stuff on.
Did he just end the live, too? Like, when he was...
Yeah, he just ended it. He's like, oh, we're going to the venue now.
He played before the venue on Twitch. Waited and made people... So people watched that for 3 hours. They're watching his Twitch stream. Oh, man, the monetization from a 3-hour Twitch stream was probably more than he made from the $2,500 tickets.
Well, because he gave all the money away, probably, because it's all influencers. They didn't pay for it. Like, very, very few people actually got in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little sneaky. If it was real, I think that's so cool. If it's real, I think that's super cool. But if it feels sneaky, which means it missed its mark. So call it what you want. It was a private event.
Yes.
Private pop-up. Okay. Do we have...
Live Nation.
Yay. This brought to you by... Apparently, everything is brought to you by...
Live Nation.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. What about DJs with good vibes?
Well, before I do that, I wanted to share what people can do. I made a list. Because I don't like that, I just have bad news all the time. But there's no way to change it. We talked about this in the last episode that, like, I don't know what you could possibly do. So I made a list of a lot of things that you can do. And I decided to make a list of, like, if this happens, this is what you look for. If this happens, this is what you look for. So it's kind of a long list, but I'm going to go through it quickly. I'm not going to be specific on, like, where they're coming from, but just a couple of things. So if you get crowd crush, poor layout, no exits, or unsafe structures, you're going to contact the fire marshal or building code enforcement person for that specific venue in that area. If medical care is delayed, absent, or underprepared, then you contact the local health department. If there's an ADA issue, you contact the U.S. Department of Justice, the Civil Rights Division. Not calling out events, but if there is fake VIP, surprise lineup changes, things feel misleading or scammy, then you can go to the state attorney general, the Consumer Protection Office. They will do it for you. If there are corporate-wide patterns, so think like DOJ going against Ticketmaster and Live Nation for having a monopoly, that's the Federal Trade Commission, so you can contact them. The other things that you can do is you can contact local governments and permitting boards and ask them to step in. So, like, for example, yes.
We love pulling a permit.
I love a permit. So you could go to, like, a city council or entertainment commission, and they can deny or revoke event permits, push to require crowd safety plans, medical staffing minimums, ADA accommodations. You can typically find them by searching your city, special event permitting or call the city clerk's office and ask about who approves the permits for different events. And then you can apply public comment sessions with the city council members who are actually going to be the people deciding to give the permit to people or not.
All politics are local is like a common phrase of like we get really caught up in the big headlines, but where you can actually affect change starting in your area, starting local. So that's a great way to put those two things together and think about like, now that we know so much about permits, like just our agencies, because my whole question last time was, is no one regulating this? Like, and is no one have to?
There are many people who regulate this. I just listed many of them.
Yes, there really are people regulating this. It's just whether the complaints are getting and enough complaints are happening. Like, yes, this is our time to pull out our inner, can I talk to your manager? 100%. And go for the little guys, because the little guys will pay attention. Don't go after the big ones because they don't have any reason to pay attention to you. I have more. I'm not done yet, unfortunately. Which means there's more scary things.
Well, it gets more and more aggressive, so it kind of depends on how aggressive you want to go at this. That's the very like minimal level of like things that you can do at a local level. They're not scary and make change.
Let's be a good citizen, be a good neighbor, be a good community member. That's like a nice baseline activities.
Yes. So now we're going to go into medium territory. This includes pushing for new ordinances or structural changes. So you can advocate for mandatory crowd safety and evacuation plans, heat safety protocols, again, not talking about any specific events whatsoever, on-site ADA officers, and public access to event permits and inspection records. So for example, after Astroworld, Houston created a task force that led to permit reforms. Wow. So again, it's city level, but like you can partner with a local disability org, fire unions, EMTs, safety coalitions, and they will help start and sign petitions, which is why I created a petition today for everyone to go sign, because that's one of the ways you can influence change of these big organizations is working with other groups. You can also, this one I thought was genius. Pressure sponsors and partners. So find out who sponsored the event, email or tag them, asking them why they support unsafe or non-accessible events. Brands don't want PR problems. They're often quicker to act than the promoter.
Follow the money. Like you said last time, follow the money.
So then if you really want to go for the money, okay, this is like top of the food chain. If you want to go for the money, you're going to go after their insurance. So how insurance works. Big events usually have to carry event liability insurance. It's required to get permits. If they're unsafe, the insurer can raise premiums, pull coverage, and refuse to insure them again. So how to find the insurer? Because I was like, how would you find this, right? You can request a copy of the event's permit, and on that, it has to say who their insurance was through and who it is. You can do this requesting the permit through the FOIA public records requests or through the county, the city, special events office, entertainment commission. You can find them online. Usually it's no big deal. And then I have what you're going to say, and I'll put all of this in like a text for people too. But what you're going to say is this event had major safety failures. Here's what happened, who was affected, and why it reflects negligence. No insurance means no permit. Complaints to insurers can actually block future events or raise costs to the promoters. So if you want to actually go after their wallets.
That might be the fastest. That may be the fastest way for change.
Yeah, so for all of these, I also have a list of things to say, like what to include in your report. You're going to want the event name, date, and location. Describe what happened. So what was unsafe, discriminatory, misleading, neglectful, whatever category of that I brought up before of like, if you thought it was unsafe, this is who you contact. You want to talk about those things. Include who was affected. If it was you, a friend, multiple people, call out if affected were disabled, women, BIPOC, any minority whatsoever. You also want to make sure that you take note of that specifically. In some of these cases, depending on what it is, obviously. Add evidence, so photos, tweets, social media posts, medical records, receipts, all of those types of things. State why it matters, so why is it dangerous, discriminatory, deceptive, whatever it is, and then ask for action. I'm asking your office to investigate this event and take appropriate action to prevent this from happening again. And then that way you're holding the people who actually have power over these organizations to make a change, because they're the ones that are going to allow the permits.
That's what will make
permits
them care.
Are everything.
I love it. Everything goes back to permits.
Permits and money. It's all about the money. The insurance, sponsored brands, partners, local officials. None of those have anything to do with Live Nation or Ticketmaster.
Yeah,
at all.
That was the main problem we were running into, is like, why would they care? There'll always be something else. They're a monopoly. It's not being broken up. Why would they care? And we're like, how do we make it affect their wallet? We just all don't go. That's not going to happen.
Exactly. And I was like, I wasn't happy with that response, because I'm like, that's not helpful. I want to know how to actually make change, not just petition to get refunds. I am the permit queen. I will find your arrest records, and I will find your insurance carriers, and I will go after them if I need to. I could be the squeakiest wheel. I am not the person that you want on the other side of that phone call, because I will annoy the shit out of you. I have hyperfixation problems. I will sit here all day, and it won't even be a problem.
This is my new craft. I could be making beads right now, but there's no point to making beads because I can't go to these unsafe festivals. So instead, you're my beads.
Exactly. So yeah, and then our petition, there are 5 things that I'm asking for in it that no one else is asking for. I don't know if that's because no one cares. I care, obviously. But here, the 5 things are: hire independent crowd safety experts. Every layout should be reviewed before gates open by professionals trained in crowd flow, emergency planning, and risk prevention.
Weird.
Publish detailed evacuation plans for all weather scenarios: flooding, lightning, extreme heat. All of that should be shared before the event, both online, on-site, with maps, signage, instructions. All of those need to be clearly marked. Establish real-time safety infrastructure, so you'd use crowd density monitoring tools like AI or staff. Ooh. Set up public-facing safety hotlines, and designate a centralized on-site command center with full authority to delay or cancel a performance for safety reasons. Guarantee safe exits and simulate crowd flow. So require clearly marked, unobstructed exit routes with staff to guide attendees, plus crowd flow testing during setup to fix bottlenecks before anyone's at risk.
Weird.
It's wild. And then the last one is ensure independent ADA oversight and access enforcement. All events must include at least one trained ADA compliance officer on site to enforce accessible paths, platforms, and evacuation access throughout the weekend. That means there's staff on site at that ADA place ensuring that people are staying away from it so that people who actually need to access it can access it.
I'm assuming that's part of the permits, that your temporary structure has to comply with something.
I mean...
And if it complies during the inspection and then not after that, it's kind of pointless. So who we're not mad at are...
Slander. So Slander posted a picture on Twitter. It's just like a picture of them DJing with a crowd. And it says, no homophobia, no violence, no racism, no sexism, no hate. And then the other one is Electric Forest, proud is an understatement, and it's like a whole video about being proud, being proud. Pride? Whatever. You get the point.
It's like present tense, past tense?
We currently are proud? In pride? I don't know.
Prided? Is it mooses?
Meese? Mices? Is it mice? And then Jessica Audifred lost her USB. Her travel got delayed a bunch of times. So then our favorite person, my favorite person, YDG, was like, you can B2B with me and use my USB. And so they B2B'd. And it was great, from what I've heard.
Holy crap.
There's so many good things at Forest this year. They also still shut down early.
Really?
You know. Yeah, there was one day they shut down early for winds. They were up to like 80 miles per hour. And they're intense. So it's like stuff was everywhere. But then they opened the next day, I think. So it was fine. The forest provided.
The forest provides.
Yes, the forest. That's what the saying is. The forest provides.
You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Dead Sober Podcast. Don't forget to check out our podcast on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube. And you can find Fluffy at FluffyDragon0_0 and Rave Bay Melissa at rave.baebay.melissa, Melissa, on TikTok and Instagram. Tune in next week for our next episode on Fridays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time.